the guy every day for lunch.
Right.
Grilled chicken, green beans, and carrots.
More.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission meeting of October 3rd, 2024. I would ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. And thank you very much. Maureen, how about a roll call?
June Daly. Here. Angelou Millard. Here. Ann Dorsey. Here. Sigmund.
Here.
Brian Rogan.
You may be excused. I don't know.
Scott Hamel asked to be excused.
Yes,
Chairwoman Bailey
here.
and alternate Mike Pashik,
Here.
alternate John Dyken,
Here.
alternate Steve Biella.
Here. Okay, thank you. Just for the record, as we have two of our regular members absent, I would ask Michael Pachuk to be seated, and also John Dyken
Thank you.
for the meeting. Okay, moving on. Approval of the minutes. September 19th, 2024. We had present June Daly, Tim Zigmont, Diane Jorsey, myself, Brian Rogan, Andrew Millard, Scott Hamill, John Dyken, Steve Biella, and Michael Pashchuk. And of the minutes, were there any corrections?
I have just one note to make with respect to the previous meetings minutes, bless you. The previous meetings minutes, I requested that the reference of one bar be explained, and in the most recent minutes, it defines a bar as a metric unit of pressure, which I don't believe is how the bar was represented for the greenhouse. I think I understood it to be one section of the building. The representative, the architect was asked what a bar was and responded to the question
Oh,
in the minutes,
Right.
which was why I thought it was appropriate. But I think my understanding of it was a section of the building or a section of the greenhouse.
Okay, so
It
noted.
has nothing to
sorry,
do
that
with
was my
atmospheric
mistake.
pressure.
Okay, well,
That was my mistake looking up the.
no problem. I'm sure that we'll have a chance to
Without-
clarify that as well.
Listening.
Yeah, I just want it to be accurate.
All right, good deal.
Threw me a curve.
All right, any other corrections? Anyone have a
Not that I
note?
saw.
Okay,
The minutes are, there's more reading in the minutes than there is for the whole package. This is kind of overdone.
So we are figuring out how they can
The
be
balance.
aligned and get a balance. Yeah, you know.
The detail is wonderful, but it's kind of too much.
so
yeah, it's almost like you don't have to watch the tape.
It's a book.
We're working towards, we do have, the tape, which is
Yeah,
readily available, so we can cut back on details in minutes because they are able to be referenced.
Mhm.
And perhaps saying in response to commissioner comments, this was answered, this, details given instead of this question was asked, this question was asked, this question was asked, some of that just.
Yeah,
their
sort of
responses
almost broad
yeah.
brush it a little
Yeah,
bit.
And some other things, but we'll keep tweaking it as we go.
Okay,
But we appreciate that though.
all right. Anyone else? Does anyone have a notion or a
I'll
feeling
make a
about the?
motion to accept with that change.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Jorsey. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Daly. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Moving on, September 7th, 2023. On hand was June Daly, Diane Jorsey, Andrew Millard, Brian Rogan, Tim Zigmont, myself, Scott Hamel, Stephen Biella, and John Dyken. And September 7th. This was 2023. So we picked up a set.
Um,
So reading through the minutes,
as I was
As
reading it,
they're-
I was thinking it was last month and I was wondering why I was confused.
Yeah, I just did.
all right, that's why you were confused. Unless the year is wrong, I don't know.
That's when we lost our administrator.
That's it.
Yeah.
Now,
We talked about it.
we now think we're caught up with next
Um,
week's minutes. that
I'll
you-
make
that's
a
what-
motion to approve.
Motion to approve my Miss Joyce Jorsey. Do we have a second?
Thing,
What? Okay, we have a second for discussion.
okay,
Mr. Zigmont.
yeah, I see this as Attorney Capola, reviewed the CGS 8-30G appeals procedure
Which,
in response to comments by Commissioner Zigma.
which page are we on?
4.
Okay, let's
Page
note the
4.
page. How far down the page?
Well, halfway down, I know.
About halfway down, but he has a
Yeah.
pretty good memory.
But, I don't see me asking any question. That's why the only reason I question and she reviewing it's fine. I don't know what I asked for a question a year ago.
So that's one of those instances where I'm trying to streamline by taking out the specific questions and just saying in response
Yeah.
to questions.
Okay,
You asked, it was a procedural.
Okay.
I can look at the others. Would you like
Yeah.
that taken out?
huh?
Would you like that taken out?
No, it just doesn't respond to anything, I asked a question about 830G. Her response is to nothing because the question's not in there. Yeah, that's,
I mean, I think it's fair to say that Commissioner Sigma was asking a question about the 830G appeals procedures.
right.
But I think that's, I mean, I think it's fair to infer that that's probably what you were asking.
Okay. Anyone else not happy?
I mean, I'm fine with it as the way it is. Of course, if other people are not, if other commissioners are certainly up, it's up for debate if that should be amended. So, but that's my 2 cents.
All right. You're good?
Take a vote? Okay, we're gonna move.
I can pull up those.
You know what,
Yeah.
I'm sure that we had a lot of discussion about the 830Gs and, procedures and ratio and stuff. So I could see where there might have been some discussion. I don't think we have to get back into the weeds. I mean, if we were that curious, I think we can roll the tape. But just for the minutes itself, I think we'll move. So do we have a motion? We have the
There's-
motion
there's a
second.
motion and
So
a
all
second.
those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So moved. Okay. Moving on, the receipt of new applications and scheduling of public hearings is required or necessary. First is the subdivision application of Kokomo Brothers for a 5-lot subdivision. That's lots 46 and 46D, block 142, 170 Wilkes Pond Road and 243 Somerset Road.
So as we've discussed, when applications come in, we get, they have to be accepted, and we have begun the practice of putting them onto your agendas so that you know what has come in and deal with the scheduling. On this one in particular, you might remember that this property had an application previously. One of the main issues with it, there were basically 2 issues of concern. The first one being owner authorization. The we did get owner authorization from the other parties that own the property. And I also talked to their attorney, the other owner's attorney, and confirmed that, yes, they are in agreement with the application moving forward. And so that is no longer an issue at hand. The second thing is, simultaneously with this submission, I'm working with our town attorney, and we're going to be bringing with Council D'Onofrio, who appears generally at the town council meetings, on getting the use of the town land for road improvements that they'll be using. It's part of Sage Park. They'll be using a little triangle of it. They're proposing to, and going to town council for that. Hopefully, either on October 15th or on November 12th. So I'm going to suggest that you tentatively schedule this for November 14th, which allows for the opportunity for 2 town council meetings beforehand, and still will meet the most open date of December 7th.
Make a
Along-
motion.
Along with that information you just gave, the land concerned there with the Sage Park, that was given to the town by the developer of Wilkes Pond originally, a long time ago.
Did go back through, Attorney D'Onofrio and I went
Yeah.
back through deeds and conveyances, some time ago. So
Yeah, long
during the
time.
during the first application, so details of it, I'd have to refamiliarize myself with. But that is one of the concerns, was how the conveyance happened, as to whether or not there was any restrictions that would preclude this. And
Yeah,
that
my-
will
mine-
be vetted before,
recollection,
presumably before it goes to town
uh,
council.
Was it given to the town for use for the Sage Park, and that was the only use given for. So that's why I would ask you to double check that.
We are definitely
you.
on that. We've spent a good amount of note taking on that
Yeah,
matter.
long time ago.
Make a
Yeah.
motion to schedule public hearing for November 14th.
Okay, Ms. Jorsey has the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Daly. Further discussion on that item? Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Okay, abstaining? Okay. And just for the record, we'll note that Brian Rogan has arrived at 7:15. Oh, okay. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Okay. Okay. You're on, you're off, but that's okay, because you can discuss during commission business. It's only during times of deliberations. All right, moving on. Special permit with the site plan modifications for Mark Lovely and Anthony Valenti for the redevelopment of 10 residential units at 848 Farmington Avenue, property of Newport 848 Farmington Avenue LLC in the CCD 2R11 zones. So this is coming before us for that. So this is, we
These
want to open this by 12/7.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't put a suggested date. Oh, I think they requested, oh, yes, I'm sorry. Suggested date is 11/17 at their request, and they did finish their wetlands review. this past
17.
It was 17 or 14? How many meetings do we have?
one.
Okay, I think it's
I
the,
wrote the wrong date.
okay, don't
14,
worry.
I believe.
Is it the 14? Okay.
I think I was correct with the 14 first time. Probably didn't change over my calendar.
Okay.
1 month, yeah.
You have your
This is-
calendar really quick?
This month is the 17th, next month is the 14th.
Okay,
Okay.
move to schedule for public hearing for November 14th.
Okay, Ms. Jorsey has the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Daly. Further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Okay, commission business. We have 2107 Chamberlain Highway H2O Farms permit modifications, including the head house office architecturals modifications. Okay. All right. So,
I do have one question.
yeah, all right.
It's just a procedural question. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but
That's all right.
it says permit modification, okay? Because the building has moved and parking lots go be different and everything else, I think that's a site plan modification, okay? Not a permit modification. So if it's a site plan modification, it should be posted that way. And my question,
Okay, to our planner. Is it a site plan modification versus a permit modification? Mr. Zig may have something.
When originally put on the agenda, it was for the modifications that appeared, like the permitting for the design. And that didn't deal with those other site issues. The drainage, the parking drives, it was within the footprint that was approved for the building is where these modifications are occurring. I think that, and again, Attorney Capola's online, so she may have, but I think at this point, given that it has been at public meetings and it has been well discussed at multiple meetings, that this has left the opportunity to understand the details of the difference between the permit and a site plan modification. They didn't come in for a site plan modification. The commission has kind of evolved it into a site plan modification review. That wasn't what was requested, nor what we advised them was necessary for the architectural changes at the time that they came in, and it's evolved that way by virtue of the commission's discussions. Could we have changed the way it was written on the agenda? Probably. But whether that's necessary or not, I'm of the opinion it's probably not necessary. Again, Attorney Capola is online and can tell us if we're leaving the commission open to a question. If she, maybe she can hear us. I'm not sure she can hear us.
Jennifer? Attorney Capola?
Jen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Did
Okay.
you?
Oh, good. I'm sorry. I have no concern about it. You'll recall we had a discussion at your last meeting regarding whether or not to hold a public hearing, because it was originally a site plan that did have a public hearing. And I said to you that, depending on what the nature of the proposal is, and you made a decision with regard to that a public hearing was not necessary given what's being proposed. And because it was, not so much the use as it was, particular, again, as Maureen indicated, for print and so on and so forth. So I don't have any concern whatsoever with the way that it was noticed. I think that, we know, and it's been discussed publicly that this was not a special permit. Yeah, I don't have any concerns with it, to be honest with you.
Okay. Anyone from the commission have any additional questions for Jennifer or our attorney? But it is a valid point.
My point, I'm sorry to.
No, that's okay. It's a valid
My
point.
point is, during this discussion of a modification,
Mhm.
it has grown to more of a site plan thing now. And that's where my question comes upon. If it's now grown to the site plan, okay, I think it should be renoticed as a site plan modification. Again, I don't think it needs a public hearing, any of that, but a site plan modification is different than the small modification we were gonna do on it before.
Yeah, it's no longer
Now
a
it's-
tree or something. It's a
grown.
whole
It's grown,
different.
and this statement made during the hearings or the meetings was that it's just a modification and we can't say much to it, to things happening. It's site plan, we have that say. Okay, I made that comment that, when it comes to us, we got another bite of the apple. Okay, and that's what I think's happened now. From a modification to the site plan part, it's another bite of the apple, okay? Because now we got into drainage and everything else with the parking lot, and there's a foundation that's not built correctly. And I don't know on our modification, is there that much
Leeway,
leadway in our part
yeah.
than more underneath the site plan modification. And I'm just looking at it a little different. That's all I'm looking at. Commission, as a whole, I think should discuss it and
I just. wanted to
Yes, of course,
clarify
Maureen.
that the drainage is not, they represented and we looked at the plan, the drainage is not changing. It's, and the extent of the parking lot not changing. So I just wanted to put that on the record. Or clarify that for you as you discuss, and feel free, I mean, I'm not to be
No,
contrary, just to be clear.
Informative.
Yeah, information wise.
Diane?
So my recollection of the last meeting was that the main concern was the parking lot and whether or not we wanted to see the parking lot paved.
which.
Because
that
we
came
all
into the
kind of
drainage
came to
part.
consensus
Okay.
for the Plan C. We all liked C. And so the conversation evolved into the discussion about the parking lot and the pavement, whether or not it needed to be paved.
And if it's paved, that means drainage system or something.
But they're not proposing pavement. You are.
I agree. I agree.
So my understanding of the parking lot being designed the way it is to serve as drainage. And if you cap that area off with asphalt, it defeats the purpose. You've got all that other impervious area now with the greenhouses and the head house. The parking lot was serving as a good portion of your drainage. And then to the back of the property is also serving
Well,
for drainage. So to
drainage
me, it
there's
doesn't.
going into the storm sewer hole there, but that's where the
Right.
drainage should go to. I'm concerned that that drainage should go there. If they put anything besides gravel that rain can go through, then drainage has to be put in, directed to that pond or stuff, so.
I want to make sure that,
I'm sorry.
because you have a tendency to lean back without your microphone, and I think the audience or people attending will want to see. Well, you two know how to complicate my life. Thank you very much. I'm gonna look to this happy side over here just for a second and see. Yes, please.
Oh,
No, I mean, it's just our attorney.
Commissioner Zigmont, I think his point has to do with notice, and in my mind, there's the notice of something versus the agenda. When this item came on our agenda a couple meetings ago, how was it noticed other than being on the agenda? Was something posted at the property? Was something put in the newspaper?
That's not required.
So there was nothing other than we just have our agenda and it's on the
It's an
website.
agenda.
Okay, all right, then that.
and a
Yeah,
modification.
Because,
All right, I was trying to uncomplicate the matter, and
Commission
I have
business
not,
item.
and I have not done that, so I.
well, no, but I do appreciate your attempt.
My point is that if it was properly noticed to begin with as a modification, a permit modification, then that's just the way it is, and it's continued on our agenda as such, but. I mean, I have to say that the fact is that I don't think changing the agenda item, even though our conversation has evolved, would make much sense, but I certainly understand Commissioner Zigmont's point is that this has changed. It's evolved based on there's no question about that.
Well, just to follow up on that very good point. So separate notice to the abutters isn't required, given what it is, okay? So really all that is required is, in fact, that it appear on your agenda, and that is what has occurred. And at this point, you've had, obviously, there was a discussion at the last meeting, and there was a discussion at the previous meeting, correct? The meeting that I was not at, yeah. So I mean, this is your third night of discussing the
Mhm.
matter. It's, given what it is, it makes a little sense to me to change what is appearing on the agenda. There's nothing about what's appearing on the agenda that's misleading. in my opinion, about what it is.
Okay, anyone else have any thoughts on this? All right, I think I'm just in a little bit of a quandary, and only because, in light of what Mr. Zigmont has mentioned. And going back to our last meeting, I am of the impression that even as things have, adjusted on the plan, that basically we were instructed by staff and our attorney to only address not the greenhouses, but the actual front building. And that's what the charge was for tonight, is to look at that. So that is an interesting point, though. If for some reason it is paved, it could change the drainage on the site. But on the other, well, but is that all part of that's all part of the frontage, is it not? The frontage of the building, or are we just only addressing the facade? I mean, I'm not really clear.
Building size
It's-
and the facade.
Okay, so the building size and the facade.
To be, clear, it does affect the parking layout. I'd have to look at the plan again to see if the edge of the parking changes. They're adding green space, which is again pervious. So, I think with any of the plans, again, they'd have to tell us specifically. That's my recollection from the last meeting. But the spaces themselves are being shifted,
Mhm.
but my recollection is not the parking area overall. They're being shifted from one area of where they were to along the same.
It's following the shift to the building, right?
Yeah, they shifted the building, they're shifting the parking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how to, I'm
That
sorry, I
shifted the green,
can't
yeah.
articulate it right now.
Well, we just don't want to step into something.
Yeah.
And,
We can bring up the pictures if that.
yeah, I think that we should. Is it all right? Well, what's the consensus of the
At
commission?
this
Shall I
time,
continue in?
At this time, I'm going with our attorney's advice.
Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll start in with the deliberations on this, or the discussion on this, on the facade.
For the applicant?
Yeah, for the applicant. All right. But it is an interesting point, and thank you for bringing it up.
Question.
Well, yeah, that's why you're here.
A little bit. So.
Yep.
So it's construction's proceeding, a zoning permit has been issued. Right. So I understand the concern, but we all know the posture under which it came to you, and the procedure that was followed. You've made a decision. You made a decision last time. You took a vote that you were not going to have a public hearing.
Mhm.
So the only notice that's required, again, because you don't have a separate notice provision that's requiring notice to abutters, all that's required is for it to appear on the agenda. So, there's the way that it's described on the agenda is fine.
Okay. All right. Okay, so, what happened to our assistant? I thought she was is she going to, oh, okay. All right, all
The applicant is here.
right.
Right? You're ready to proceed?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we are.
understanding?
Yes, please.
So I think it is their responsibility to.
we need a vote?
Do we need a vote? We're just a discussion.
Made in a second. I don't know. I don't remember what the motion was.
There was no motion on this. No, we didn't do a motion. We were just,
Site plan, some of us feel site plan, others feel that's not.
okay, all right, so. Okay, but so my question, if there's, is there a motion? All right, so I'm not hearing a motion. To-
adjust the agenda to say site plan instead of permit modifications.
Okay, is there a second for discussion? All right, no second, the motion fails. Do I have another motion? Or do I need another motion? No, no motion. Okay, so we're,
Second waiter.
all right, so we're just gonna go into our discussion. All righty. Okay. So anyone want to start? Okay. Well, yeah, well, exactly. Well, without sometimes,
Would you like the applicant's representatives to come forward
sure,
and address you?
of course.
'Cause I know that you had asked them to
Yeah.
return and.
Yeah. We need some clarification on some stuff. And I assume that asking for clarification is okay. On stuff. Yeah. All right,
Think it's on?
it should be, but it's one of those ones that you have to almost really directly speak into it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
As we mentioned at the end of the last hearing, the architect can't make it tonight,
yes,
so I can do my best, but
all right.
I'll have all the answers for you.
Is that
All right.
mic on?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's just, that's the funky one. All right. I guess because this is information as well, I just want to sort of touch base on what Mr. Zigmont had brought to light about, we were talking about the parking lot, whether it should be paved or not, or if it's going to go with the gravel. So obviously that kind of shifted the conversation a little bit. But have we thought about, and I'm just going to put this out here to start the conversation, have we thought about perhaps doing, I know that you want to stay with the gravel parking lot because of the impervious surface and the rainwaters and stuff would just be sort of filtered through and down and out. Or do you want to look at perhaps a paved apron to the area so that trucks that were on the gravel would not be dragging the gravel out onto the Chamberlain Highway?
So I believe that there was on the site plan.
Excuse me, sorry.
I
Yes,
believe
go
there
ahead.
was on the site plan, if you bring it up, I think there is an apron.
That's, I was hoping for the pictures. to
Yeah, I think,
refresh my
I
memory.
hope so too, because that's my recollection.
Yeah,
That there was an
Yeah, it's a
apron.
big bill.
We're working on bringing up the pictures right
okay,
now. There is an
Wait a minute.
extended apron. At the last meeting, I did bring that up.
Okay.
It's an extended apron that is, a considerable amount of what I'd call the driveway before you hit the parking lot. And then the parking lot
Oh,
is
here it is.
gravel and was part of their drainage and impervious surface or pervious surface for their pervious surface calculations. And, or impervious surface calculations.
okay.
Yeah,
And the
'cause-
gravel was all provided, as part of those
It
calculations.
looks to be about 80 feet with the, um,
I would suggest the condition, if it wasn't already on the plan, and I'm sorry, I wasn't feeling well this morning and came in late,
Yep,
that if there's not already the condition that the lot remain gravel and not be allowed to be like millings. So we now consider millings pervious, impervious
Pervious.
because they compact. So, putting a note on the plan that any change from the surfaces that were proposed would have to be re-reviewed either by yourselves or the town engineer and zoning.
so, excuse me, go back. You said that millings are not acceptable as?
Millings are like asphalt.
Yes,
Can't get, the water doesn't
Yeah,
permeate.
okay,
they don't
all
get
right.
through. So having a gravel lot is preferred when you're concerned with drainage
okay,
for that area. And I would
All right.
suggest that as a condition.
I also wanted just to add that, you have to go back almost 4 years when we first started this whole process.
wow,
It's a long time, right?
yeah,
That there was a large discussion around amount of impervious surface that would be on the lot. And there was a pretty high percentage in the zoning rules that were passed of requiring for impervious surface. So that's the whole reason why they did gravel. It's because they have to comply with that calculation. I think if you were to require any type of a non-pervious surface or impervious surface, they would have it may be an issue actually with your own zoning rules. I don't know what the calculation would look like, but I know that was part of the discussion when this was
Mhm.
getting done.
Okay, thank you. My other question or concern is that are there gutters on this building? And if so, where are they being vented down to?
Don't know if there's gutters. Maureen, do you know if there's gutters?
So I believe the architect in the last, during his presentation spoke back to the other drawing.
The
We're
gutters,
keeping Alexa working today, that he had,
the downspout.
added the more hefty and deliberate downspouts in order to create an architectural
Yes.
vision
Right.
coming down the front. I believe it was always guttered, but
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know that it was depicted and the downspouts were used as architecture in the first. I do have, I think, those plans with me.
So is
I
it,
believe you're right.
So
Maureen.
my understanding was that the downspouts of the gutters are what appear as the white lines that break up the red wall. And then the white lines that break up the gray wall are posts, which maybe downspouts follow.
I think that's accurate. I believe that's what he said.
so then do we have a dry well set up at the end of those gutters that have the downspouts?
They don't-
I believe the whole drainage system, and again, I have to go back to reviewing the drainage from a couple of years ago. But the drainage system is put in throughout the site underneath both the greenhouses and the head house to create the drainage, so the drainage all goes to the retention area. It was all part of the overall, I'll pull them up for myself and see if there's information to share.
Was that the system that
Can we
SLR
see
designed?
option C on the floor,
Yeah.
on the?
Yes, it was,
He's got.
I
Can you
know I just wrote it down.
pull
You
up
know that
option
approval-
C? Please. The picture of option C. No, that's okay, because I can see it up here now a little bit. Anyone else? Questions? Concerns?
It would be the same question you have though, with the gutters. Because there is larger gutters now and everything else. If that going into some kind of distribution to the pond, or is it some collection unit in ground somewhere for those? With a gravel parking lot, if you got water running across it, you'll have little ditches in the parking lot because it's not impervious. I don't know the answer, so I think that when the last proposal came in, they had some drainage for the gutters. But I can't confirm that either, but I think there was. Yeah,
There's two windows here.
so, the first picture, the first picture doesn't even have, downspouts, so it probably wasn't.
I know, but
I don't know where that water was going in the first picture because all we got is gutters.
Mhm.
I think as explained, the first picture was not an architectural.
Well, I know it's not a architectural one, it's just,
This
you
one.
know, they're drawn into the sea and they're not on this one. So I can't confirm that there was any kind of drainage system for the water coming off the roof.
I've got the stormwater management report written by SLR on my screen. I'm trying to look for the summary statement to see if I can, and it doesn't, it isn't talking specifically about the head house, but I'll read this paragraph, then I'll keep reading and keep looking, but, under proposed conditions, increase in peak runoff rates are mitigated through storage in the stone layer beneath both greenhouses. Roof leaders from the proposed greenhouses will be connected to the perforated under drains proposed with inverts at the bottom of the stone elevations. The discharge from each stone detention system is proposed to be controlled by a 24-inch yellow blast drain structure, basin structure with a metal weir plate. Refer to tables further in the report. For the water surface elevation by storm event for the proposed stone detention system. Wait a minute, I read another sentence here. Paragraph. Hold on, I'm sorry. The first paragraph. The design goal is to provide water quality treatment in accordance with Connecticut's deep requirements for the water quality volume and to prevent increases in the pre-development runoff rates from the site. They are still, or rather, they proposed at that time, and we have no indication that there's any change that the water runoff will be maintained within the site.
That was for the greenhouse area and I remember that drainage. But I don't think there was any, now I don't think there was any more drainage for the rain gutters or whatever. The greenhouse, I remember discussing that for the underground stone and stuff like that to filter through and but the head house part or the front of the building, I don't remember anything discussed.
While,
The
Ms.
first proposal, Maureen, GU1 looks like it has
There was a
drainage.
I recall a design plan that our town engineer went over, as I remember, questions, some back and forth, that he had. I'm actually looking for his comments now.
Solid gravel infiltration and
Yeah, the gravel. Let the water from the parking lots go into the ground. The stormwater detention pond.
is this basically a gravel lot out there? So when you're, in other words, when you're digging, when they were digging for the foundation, it's basically gravel as opposed to, I guess I'm just concerned about the actual, absorption of rainwater through the surface. If you have a gravel lot, that's great because rainwater doesn't hold. I mean, it's just gonna flushes right down,
that's what we approved.
yeah.
I'm not an engineer, but I mean, engineers designed it and
Yeah.
your building department, I believe, reviewed it.
I'm just noting it.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the other thing I want to ask you architecturally, because I know Mr. Zigman's waiting on this, and I know that there's people in the audience and everyone's interested to see where we're going. Architecturally, just looking at your option C, which is up on the wall. It's coming up. I was looking at the approved plan versus what we have here. And where you have that sort of truck in the parking lot, the closest panel of the red to the gray. On originally, the approved plan, there seemed to be two nice big windows, sort of paned windows there. And that are no longer there. I'd like to see them come back. And I'd also like to see the smaller windows that are on the other end to be enlarged if we can. Let in more, some more natural light. And Diane, we were talking about the dog houses, or what do we want to call these?
Yeah, on the
And-
roof of the gray section.
Yeah. The little
I
half
asked
shedders or,
about those
yeah, we asked,
last time.
yeah. We asked about putting a couple up there over the gray section.
I think the
Uh,
architect said he, that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he did. I
He
don't
did.
think he had any problems.
He did.
No. No, but I like to see those windows a little bit bigger on that red. Sort of break it up so it's not so blocky. Anyone else architecturally, landscape wise? Yes, go right ahead, John.
When will the building be completed? I'm talking about the front and all the facilities in the back. Probably not this year, would I imagine, maybe sometime next summer,
I think some of it depends on the weather.
of course.
But, you know, they've completed a pretty large section of the greenhouse already.
Mhm.
And they have most of the structural parts of the head house are already put together, they're just not put up yet. So, I mean, they're hoping to have it done, if the weather permits, probably January, February.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Diane?
I'll make a motion to approve option C with the changes that we've discussed by adding the windows in the leftmost section of the red portion of the barn, enlarging the windows in the right two sections of the red part of the barn, and adding some doghouse sections on the roof area above the gray part of the building.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Jorsey. Do we have a second? Okay. For,
I suggest something to that motion. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that. I would just add that you'd probably want that all to be subject to review by your planner. Just,
Subject to review by the planner.
just because you're
We
saying,
said that once before,
yeah, just because you're saying, a couple, I don't know whether you mean 2, 3, I think,
too.
two.
like, how many are you talking about?
I'm sorry for lacking in detail.
Just for that, let's go into
Two.
landscaping. Well, yeah, windows are nice. Bunch of windows. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second.
I was just
Further
helping.
discussion?
Yeah, I think she
Wait.
was just drawing it from the original proposed. There's the 2 windows here that are in the,
I was actually thinking about the doghouse one.
Oh.
I wasn't sure how many you,
Oh, okay, yeah, there'd be the two,
just 2.
yeah. Then your architect will make sure they're proportionate size to that building. All right, so we're still in discussion. Anything else? So all those in favor? Aye,
Wait, oh, you did
Wait,
have a second.
we did.
Okay.
Michael did.
Aye.
All right. Those
Did
opposed,
we do it right?
so moved. Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Abstain.
You abstained? Why would you abstain?
Vote again.
Well,
You
no,
don't like it.
if you don't want it, you can vote.
I just don't think, it's reviewed enough with the drainage. And so
Well,
I'll vote against, take my vote.
But I
please
did
don't.
ask you if there was any further discussion, and
So I wasn't discussing anymore. I was taking the attorney's advice and stuff, but,
okay. All right, so how would you like your vote to count? As abstained or against?
against.
Against, for the record. Mr. Zigman's opposed, okay. All right, so moving on, we have the site plan amendment, application of Joe D. I'm sorry? DeSucius, thank you. Arctic Home Improvements for the installation of a 70 by 40 steel structure at 855 Berlin Turnpike in the CCD1 zone. So, Mr. DeSucius, are you coming to address the commission or yeah, you and party? Okay, yes,
I bring up something.
yes, please.
So, this application, is, they applied earlier this year and withdrew the application, in order to give better and more detailed plans. And, we determined it wasn't, ready to be heard by the commission at that time. So at that time, he did pay the fee and we processed it. Usually, a lot of times when that happens, if somebody, if we, on our preliminary review, find it's not adequate, they take it back, they void it, we void it instead. So what the question is he paid that fee. There was no real cost, no noticing at that time or anything else. There was the minimal staff time processing, and therefore he's requesting that his paid application fee at that time be applied to this application, which is being processed now. And that is something that I discussed with the Director of Finance some time ago. You might recall, you've done this a couple of times there. I've asked you to review this, and it is under the commission's discretion to determine whether or not that fee is appropriate to be reapplied at this time, or if a new fee is required. I think that would be appropriate.
I'll make the motion to accept the previous payment for this application.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Mr. Rogan, a second by Ms. Dorsey. Further discussion on the matter. Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Okay,
Thank you.
you are feeless.
Great.
He adjusted.
So I'm looking to put a 3-car garage back in the building. Basically to put, a couple vehicles, a dump trailer, so it's not out in the public, in the back of my building. And a 3-car garage, it would be, steel. So it's only on a 4-inch pad. So it's not a very heavy building at all. And site work around it. I already have a 6-foot fence going around the whole property. I have a bunch of trees in the back. Yeah, that's what I look to do.
Do you want to share?
We're gonna try. The GIS has been extremely difficult to manage
Maps.
right now. They're not working properly, but she also is bringing up the site plan too. So
I just want
we'll try to, I'll just warn you.
to, we're just trying to figure out where we're going with this. Was this the,
If we have to, we'll do Google view too. We have that as well.
now this building is the old photography place?
Art Ridge.
Okay, that's right by Route 9,
Uh-huh.
the overpass.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you did a nice job
Thank
fixing
you
up
very much.
the front of it.
Nobody would notice that.
Oh, yeah, no, I,
It's really good for the town.
yeah, I did.
Okay.
Well, hopefully strikers will take you up on the
They
offer.
just painted their building,
Oh, okay.
right? So I met,
You're getting them to.
getting
move.
them, yeah, so.
Yeah, I
See how that
know,
goes.
yeah.
They came to me to see if I would side it, but they didn't want to spend the money.
No, okay, well, that happens.
But so they painted it, so that's starting to look better,
Yeah,
okay? But yeah, I put a lot of money into the building to make it look nice
okay, so.
and
here's-
attractive.
So he's back on. Okay. I'm trying to see how deep the lot is. How many acres do you have? You just have the 1 acre. Okay.
The garage is gonna be 7 foot tall, is that right?
It's about 8, and then you have your rise, the gable. So I think it's that peak.
Do we know what this thing will look like?
And you should have, plans I dropped off.
So
With a picture of the front.
A part of your package, the 8.5 by 11s.
it looks
Yes.
like you have some nice vegetation in between you and the residentials behind it.
Yes,
Are you gonna be maintaining that natural border?
yes.
Okay.
You can hardly see it. I mean, right, with all the trees and everything, there's like one little corner
So
and plus it sits down, right? Because the level of the property, about 4 feet down to get it level. I'm like 4 feet, down, so you only see like the top, if you get to see it in the corner. So people behind me should be really pleased that
There-
it's all covered.
Yeah, we don't have. This is, I think this is them, Joe.
Yeah, they're very,
Not very clear or very good quality, but
Okay.
it is, as I
Yeah.
understand it, a prefab building, correct?
Yeah.
So, but can I make a
Yeah,
action point for the site plan itself? In response to, Commissioner Rogan's comments, a considerable, this, aerial you're looking at right now is from 2019. This site has been significantly cleared in, particularly in the area where he's proposing to put the garage. And you can see on the drawings, it says millings are down and they're to be removed. Some of those millings are to be removed, other millings, so that a lot of the vegetation you see there is not there now. He is proposing, I believe, they're shown on the plan, a fence, I think it's a new fence along the back line.
No, there's an existing
There's an
vinyl white.
existing white
yeah,
vinyl
white
fence
Vinyl fence. around
along the back
property.
property line, and then on their plan, they're proposing a number of new trees to be planted. But again, this. Try to turn up Google's aerial, 'cause. Yeah, it's probably old too, but along the Berlin Turnpike, we have the chance of it being post, site disturbance.
is this all a metal building that you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay, is it gonna be a specific color, or is it
White,
architecturally?
same as my building, it's gonna be white with a black roof.
And it's just basically it's a 3-car garage?
Yeah. No insulation, it's tubular steel. They come and put it up. So it's no insulation. It's just, a covered garage.
All right, and it's gonna be, I'm trying to, I know that there's houses in the back of you, right? So I just want to make sure that,
There are trees in the back.
yeah, but as Maureen said, or our planner said, that you did clear for that. So
Only- Yeah, I cleared where the building's gonna be, but not along the back fence.
okay,
Good, but-
now, are there pine trees or cedar trees in there, or is it all shrub or scrub, or it's all,
Pines, All trees.
okay?
Mhm.
And then, of course, you do have the white fence, so that helps protect the neighbors too.
Mhm.
I also would like to protect your business from wandering eyes as they come down the road,
Yeah.
in recent,
Well, in the
events.
front, if you look at the front of the building, you have all vegetation along from the ramp or the start of that ramp
yeah,
all the way along that whole property. For my building, you only have about 15 feet in between to get around the building,
mhm,
and then it's all vegetation, all trees going to the right.
okay.
So you really can't see it from the Berlin Turnpike.
All right, Andrea, I think you had Miss Millard?
Yes, are you make any lighting on this building at all?
The only thing I thought about, there's no electric going to it. The only thing I thought about was solar lights on the outside.
Okay, on the back end of it too, where it's gonna be a
No,
budding
just-
Ronald Drive?
Just in the front by the garage doors
Okay,
would be the only place I would need it.
and there won't be any storage of any vehicles or dumped on the outside of the
On the outside,
building?
right, that's what.
Okay, thank you.
So it's basically just secure your machinery.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, and Mr. Zigmont, did you have a question?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I went out on site today. Driving by, so I can swing right in. And there is 3, trailers, storage trailers, I would call them,
Containers,
containers.
Yep.
And a dumpster there right now. Are those will be removed or?
they're gonna be gone.
Okay,
If I get this, I don't need that.
okay.
Yes.
And also that the area backing up to 78 Ronald and 56 Ronald There is trees down here backing up 52 Ronald. But the fence does go all the way down through. It is very green now, moldy, whatever you want to call it. I would say that it needs to be cleaned, but also that these trees, 1, 2, 3, 4, running down between 66 and 78. The buffer there, I feel they're not enough to those residents. I mean, if there were these trees here, you got pine trees, whatever in here. If that same thickness of trees would be here, then I think the buffer is there. The other thing I would question is you're gonna be using this garage for some types of vehicles. Is that number of vehicles, what that number of vehicles would be? Are you going to expand your business? I would assume everyone wants to expand their business. That the cars coming out the driveway here, when I came out of that driveway, the cars coming down this ramp was very dangerous. I tried to pull out 3 times before I realized I can't go yet, you know?
Yep.
And I noticed that you had some signs there, watch out for trucks or whatever.
At one point I had
Okay.
it there and they're gone now, but.
Yeah, and they're gone now, and there's some other signs there.
Mhm.
But that is a hazard that's always been there coming down that ramp. And I happen to know the property because the third building down over here was my mother-in-law's property. So pulling out in that area is pretty familiar to me. I don't know what you could do. That's a state ramp.
State ramp, I already tried.
I don't know what you can do with the state or, but that hazard, I think has to be addressed a little bit. When the car comes down this ramp, it's always a hard time merging over into the traffic on Route Berlin Turnpike. And so if you got someone coming out of your driveway and that car's pushed towards you, there's a conflict there, a little conflict of cars. I don't know how you get it addressed. I think you need some kind of traffic study done that you could prove to the state that either some caution lights or something's gotta be put there for people to slow down. Because it is a hazard to you and your people working for you.
I appreciate what you're saying.
Yeah.
Something I had called the town to find out who I could speak to as far as with the state. Traffic, whatever, for that, again, that's kind of out of my hands, to what we could do. I mean, I've been there for 2 years now and, I mean, we adjusted to that ramp of pulling in and out, my employees and stuff. But I mean, it is what it is. Just until the state figures something.
I noticed that. I praise you
Yeah.
for, because you put the signs up there. I was
Yeah,
assuming they were your signs
I
because
gotta worry about.
you recognize
not
that
coming.
hazard. You recognize that hazard,
Yeah.
so, I don't know what the solution will be with the state, because I've never dealt with the state, but
No.
I'm sure it's not a easy process.
It's not a happy thing. Can I ask a question? How tall is this building to the peak?
Very good.
16? Okay, because
To the peak,
To-
right.
to the peak. All right, so it's
So-
16 feet.
So go down, what I was saying is that the level part of it, we already went down about 4 feet. To level this.
Yeah.
Right? So from the high grounds, we're down 4 feet.
Okay,
And then you have a 6-foot fence,
okay.
right? So now we're 10, and maybe you see at some points, you might see the top of the building.
Yeah. Well, yes, go right ahead.
Jack Lamar, JL Survey.
Mhm.
The peak will be 7 feet above the the fence. That's
Okay.
7 feet above. You look at the ground grade and then the height of the actual fence, I just did a calculation, 7 feet.
Okay. All right. Well, and again, just thinking, taking the consideration the neighbors, maybe you want to do a row of, staggered arborvitae or something like that. Because they kind of keep their shape and they are solid.
Yeah.
Which will help, it'll help with sound too.
I did notice the cutting that he did in the yard and he basically flattened out the yard.
Well, yeah,
Mhm.
Like 4 feet. But that has to be graded down and sloped properly, it can't stay
No,
that cut
right.
like that.
When I start,
But I did see that today. And the existence shed in the back would be staying.
yeah, I guess.
I know you can't see it from Mill Street or
I
the
inherited
ramp, but
Oh.
I inherited that. That's fine. It's like, something like that.
well, maybe you'll be so
Yeah,
happy
sure.
with your new thing that you'll want to get rid of that old thing.
Well, that shed, I really thought about having installers practice on it. And so I know what they could do
Yeah.
before I hire them.
Well, that's true. Maureen, does the staff have anything? And then I know that June has something to say. So let me go to Maureen first and then over to you, June.
So, I reserve further comment, but because I'm looking at my notes or at
That's okay.
Alexa and my notes, Alexa did a fantastic job. Pulling together, most of the things that have changed on the site and the
Mhm.
concerns. One of the things is that section that's cross-hatched directly behind the building. Building's cross-hatched and then behind it, and it says millings to be removed and relocated on site. We don't know where they're being relocated to. I would like, that should be, indicated. Also, the ends of the parking, the lines of parking, the regulations call for terminal ends. And, it's a non-conforming edge of, parking area right now. It doesn't meet the setback, but it never did. We went back and searched the files for the previous approvals. That's the line's not changing along the northerly edge, so they can keep that there. However, I suggest that the millings that are to the east of that be pulled back to the drive side of that last parking space and then provides that green space up along the northerly side. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because otherwise, why are the millings there? You can't drive through and they should have a terminal island as well. Again, I know he did just say that all the vehicles and dumpster would not be necessary with the building. I just want to make sure that included the dumpster. Because that's, but that there then be a condition, we put the condition on where, it is compliant with the regulations that if you have a dumpster or find you need a dumpster, it has to be screened. But if it's called out as a condition, then everybody, it just puts it there for anyone who's looking at it in the future, as well as the applicant. Those are the important, or the matters that, right, immediately.
Oh, June, you had a question?
Yeah, some of this we've covered with that entrance onto the road, and I do use that Highway 9 entrance, and I've never seen that driveway, so I appreciate the owner's interest in making that safe. Did I read somewhere that the traffic won't increase with this change? Is that you won't have more people coming in and out, so what you've had is going to be the same? And then maybe for Maureen, under staff comments, number 1, there was, and maybe you just spoke of this and I didn't understand, a setback of 10 feet to 5 foot. Did our questions get answered on that?
The parking,
On this one?
on the
Special permit with site.
next application.
Oh, sorry. There you go. You're free. I thought it.
I didn't even go, yeah, no, that's the next one.
yeah, I just noticed on here, there's a 30-foot right of way along the border, those people for Ronald Drive, who's that right away for too? There's a right of way there, so I was just wondering who it's a right of way to. Someone got a right of way through it.
The sewer easement in the center?
No, the backside where all the trees are, is a 30-foot right of way, RY.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the rear yard,
Oh, rear yard, sorry.
rear yard delineation.
This-
So that's
I
the
would,
setback.
I would think a rear yard is over this 50-foot one, I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm just looking at other input here from our department. Engineering and inland wetlands, that's still pending. Has anybody in the police, do we have any more information on these? Worthington Fire District, Police Department, inland wetlands, engineering, all say pending.
Engineering, I believe, is in your supplemental packet. And he does have some questions with regard to the drainage, that came in today or yesterday.
Came in yesterday.
Their applicant was, their, surveyor was gonna address that with asking for you to, well, I understood, again, you've had a considerable conversation, but to continue to, for him to respond to that unless the comments were of the nature that they could be addressed in, permit review. Where's my
Yeah,
mental?
Jack's gonna take over for all that.
So we just pulled those comments up on the screen?
Yep, you got them right there now. We can kind of pass those around.
Mike had gone out to the site as well. He is, especially with the first application that having come through that we didn't process.
Yep. All of that. Right, my name's Jack Martin. I'm with JO Surveying. We did the preliminary survey on this property. And also in the enhancement of the design and the drainage. So yesterday we got some comments from town engineering. And as I told Mike, I called him yesterday and I said, it'd be, one thing I learned from this commission is we don't come in with a revised plan the night of the meeting. We always that was always a rub. So, and then we wouldn't have time to adjust all these for tonight's meeting. So we understand that we got these comments and we're going to have to adjust them and sit down with Mike and go over our drainage product that's going to go on the site. If I go, I kind of gave you a list of it, but the first one comment came in, there's no survey. That kind of blew me away. I wasn't sure what he meant by that. And it's like, no survey. What he wanted was, instead of having just a site plan like this, he wanted to see a pre-site plan with just the property without any of the improvements on it. So then he could kind of look and say, okay, this is what it looks like. These are where the existing buildings are. This is where everything is. I get that. And now this is the improved plan or whatever, we're looking to improve it. So that's what that first comment is. And then the topo and the contours, that's my fault, the layer that identifies the actual numbers for the contour lines that layer was turned off. So most of these are all pretty simple, but it's basically his 8 or 9 comments are really devoted to drainage. And I don't think we could solve those tonight. I mean, I've come back with some quick comments of how we can, what's going to happen to them. But I want to talk about the milling issue. One of the things they're saying is, we've been going back and forth whether they're going to put millings in front of the garage or not. And that's probably, that note will go away where we say we're going to use those millings, but realistically we're not. And as we're sitting here talking, and I apologize if we disturbed your meeting, the first meeting, when you were talking about the last site and talking about how gravel is a pervious surface versus millings is now considered impervious. And one of the problems with trying to reuse millings is Use case in point, and way in the beginning of using millings, the town, I worked for the West Hartford Engineering, and we milled South Main Street along the golf course there, and we milled it all in place. We said, okay, we're gonna mill it, we're gonna put it there, then we're gonna regrade it and put it out. And we went back about 2 months later and we couldn't move it. We had to re-mill it because it just turned back to asphalt. And that's what Mike's saying is it's not a pervious surface. So I think when we do come back to you, there's a little piece of, this is millings now, this is millings here. So what we're gonna come back to you with is taking all the millings off the site. So those millings that we have the hatched area will not be reused because it's really impossible to reuse millings unless you're gonna grind them again. And then the other, and I was just talking to Joe and said, would you mind taking those millings out and just use gravel over there? And he said, fine, I can do that. So the millings that are on the site, when we come back to the next meeting, well, those will be gone. The other thing, going back to the existing parking lot, because of the millings on the south side of that edge of the parking lot, kind of got this, that whole side got destroyed. And our intention is to rebuild that with a curb line. I'll be honest with you, there's a handicap spot there and the sign's missing. We have a note there to have their sign replaced. So that will all be dressed up. And now that we know those millings are all gone, you'll have a proper parking lot over there. And then, and another thing that'll be on there that's not under now is a dumpster pad and, and showing where the dumpster will be in the back there. So we do have to have a dumpster and right now it's sitting on those millings. So basically, our intention is to have Andy, remember he did the Weathersfield Road drainage. He'll come down. I asked Mike, I said, is it possible to take this tonight and say, because this is all drainage we could work out, there is not a drainage problem out there. I mean, as you said, you went out and saw that it's all graded down and there's no water flowing out anywhere on any of the site. So it's not a real water problem, but we have to have a developed system to provide to the town. So I asked him if we could do a condition of approval that we'd work with staff. And Mike's concern was, there's one comment saying water table. Where's the water table on the site? And that we don't have right now to give him. So we'd have to do some test bits to find what the water table really is out there, so that his concern is, again, go back to Weathersfield Road application, where we had to build a system up because the water table was so high. And he doesn't want to see this thing happen again. So we'll do test bits prior to the next meeting and sitting down with Mike and our engineer and find out where the water table is so that these chambers can go underground properly and work. That's the intent. And they all drain into an existing storm sewer that's out there now. It's you can see it in the front. Another thing, back to the sightline issue, originally there was some bushes and plants out there. They're gone now, which is good. I was coming down the Berlin Turnpike one day, ready to turn in there, and I'm driving, turning on in my little own world. And all of a sudden I look in my rearview mirror, where'd that car come from? It came off the ramp, and it was boom, right behind me. So it is a tough area to go in, but right now with what he's done to improve that area, the sight line is better. This area here, there's a grade issue. It's a hill, a mound coming down. So it's not much they can do unless that's state property if they want to cut the hill down, which you'll never will. But it's got its issues with sight line, but you're sitting in a good wide open driveway apron there, and you take your time and just come out, when it's safe. That part, but the drainage issues, and so we're going to ask is this commission to table this, and then we come back with the drainage done to this town satisfaction.
All right, we have a request from the applicant to table.
I'll make a
Okay.
motion to table this to the next meeting, which is scheduled for,
November 14th, I think.
The next
no,
regular
it's
meeting.
October. It's got to be October
Because we,
17th.
Okay.
yes, it's October, but not the 12th, right?
No, I think it's the 17th. You're gonna have to
Okay,
open that
thank you.
meeting for me. Okay. Thank
There
you.
is a special meeting. I just, for the record, I want to clarify, there is a special meeting between this meeting and that meeting, but that's the next regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, thank you. All right, so a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Daly. Further discussion. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so moved. Okay. Thank you. And we'll see you October 17th. All right, thank you. All right, okay, I'm sorry. Going to public hearings. Do we have a call that we need to read for the public hearings? I think
That was read last time.
we did read it last time. Okay, fine. All right, so special permit use with a site plan amendment application of Calco Construction and Development Incorporated for mixed-use redevelopment with a drive-through restaurant and site improvements at 466 Deming Road, 337 Berlin Turnpike, and 51 Worthington Ridge, property at 337 Berlin LLC in the BT1 zone. Okay, here. All right. Oh, yes, okay. There you are. Come on in, come on down.
Can I just, as the meeting commenced, we got our town engineer comments. We did just get them off our printer and we'll give them to the applicant as well. But because those were pending.
Okay.
And can I just apologize for not finishing my answer to Andre's question earlier about the rest of the town comments? So we'll make sure that we have an answer to those. Yeah, I have a response, but it's too late to give it to you. Sorry.
Because we've moved on.
Some of the answers.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. Okay, so we're all caught up right now. All right, so let's go.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
For the record, my name is Matthew Bruton. I'm a professional engineer in the state of Connecticut from BL Companies. Our headquarters is at 355 Research Parkway in Meriden, Connecticut. With me in person and remotely is the owner and applicant of Calco Construction, John Sinise is on the screen. And then I also have representatives of the tenants here as well, and the architectural team, and Brianna Sinise as well, part of the ownership team and applicant in the crowd here with me. My colleague was here at the last meeting, Sarah. She's unable to attend tonight, so I'm standing in for her. I know there was a lot of discussion about the site plans and the actual layout of the property. I'm happy to recap that if the commission wishes. My understanding is though that there wanted to be some discussion more focused on maybe the architecture of the building. So I'm happy to rehash whatever you want from the civil engineering standpoint, but also, know that there's architecture that wasn't discussed last time and maybe wants to be discussed now.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you. Commission, do we have questions directly for the applicant? We haven't had a chance to look at Mr. Ahern's stuff either,
I haven't
so.
seen it myself either, so.
Okay, so this is the property at Deming Road and the Berlin Turnpike?
Correct.
All right, so this is the proposed restaurant or drive-through that's in front.
Correct. There's
know-
there's two existing warehouse facilities on the property now that are proposed to be rehabbed and redeveloped for a combination of retail and warehouse.
Yeah.
And then the addition of the pad parcel on the corner for McDonald's.
All right, can we pull up any of these plans? Because I did have the huge roll plan, but I'll be honest with you, because space is so tight here, I conveniently left it at home because I knew somebody else would have it. But sometimes it's nice to look at the architecturals. Do you have new architecturals you could share with us, or?
Have a couple of extra rolls of the plans that were distributed last meeting, if you'd rather, if
Okay.
you would like paper copies, but we have them on the screen.
Yeah,
They'll be up on the screen in a minute as
Yeah.
well, so.
We do have architectural plans.
yeah, because I first want to look at the architecturals.
And And while she's doing that, can I just
Thank you.
summarize what Mike's email to me included?
Yes.
His statement was that, well, he sent me a note. I just emailed the 466 comment memo. No red flags, can work with their engineers if it goes forward tonight. He did say to me earlier that their plans were, while he was going through them, that they were well done.
Okay.
He was substantially satisfied that it has
And the,
comments that he has.
okay, and there was a traffic study done according to what he has here. Let me just, this is a concern for me, this corner, because I do know that the discussions I've had with the police department, and of course, they can weigh in on it. It's one of those intersections that always seems to have a crack up. And the reason being is that unfortunately, people have a tendency to see a green light go to yellow and they keep going. And so even though it's solid red, before they even get there, they're still cruising through it at a high speed.
Sure.
So we've had a lot of accidents there that have been pretty bad. And so my concern as we look at developing this, and I think that I'm very interested in the plan that you guys have, but I'm also interested in how are we going to try to help that situation at that light. Now, it should not always be on you as the applicant, but as a commission or as a commissioner, I have to look at that and think, am I making a bad situation worse? So I'm interested about pattern flow and how busy this business will be. Now, going over to the architecture, when I first saw these plans, I really was not thrilled. And I was looking for something more. And so I'm interested to see what else you're going to bring forward, especially for the restaurant with the drive-through.
Sure.
I would like to have it to become sort of an earmark for the Berlin Turnpike.
Sure.
You know, okay.
So,
That being said and done. All right. Oh, yeah, there it goes.
so just to address your traffic question, I'm obviously happy to talk about traffic. Obviously, I know that Berlin Turnpike is a main thoroughfare through your town and other towns, and it's a very busy road. And as you said,
It's crazy.
we're a drop in the bucket of the larger ecosystem that supports that road.
Yeah.
We did provide a traffic study. We do show a right in only off the Berlin Turnpike as it's a divided highway. This is being concurrently reviewed by the DOT as well. If you guys are obviously familiar, it's a little bit of a chicken and the egg procedure between the local jurisdiction,
Yep.
DOT. DOT will never issue us a permit until they know that it's
Yeah.
gone through, right? But we always want to
Yeah.
processes concurrently to make sure that if we can get as much input as possible, we do. So that process is underway. And the conclusion of our traffic study that there was no significant impacts to the roadway network. But obviously, I'll never be able to say that this will be an accident-free area, right?
No.
People are
And that's-
distracted and more distracted each day. It's a busy intersection. It's unfortunately,
But
I understand the concern.
But as you continue your discussions with DOT, just knowing that the way that light is set up, you have a quick light that allows people to go left onto the turnpike if they're coming down Deming Road, and then you have the turn right. And a lot of times what happens is you only get 1, 2, 3 cars and then it switches and it goes really fast.
Right.
And then now all the other traffic is zooming around.
Right.
And perhaps what you could do is somehow suggest to DOT, though I'm sure that they have thought of this themselves, that they maybe make those turning lights longer with a longer yellow to red, or give a longer time and let like one lane travel, then the other lane travel, and then the main ones cross.
Yeah.
Because that's where you get all the problems.
Absolutely. And DOT may come to
Well,
that recommendation.
yeah.
We need to take on the signal timing changes and we'll have to do that.
Or we could get humorous and suggest a roundabout.
I personally love roundabouts, intersections you don't have to stop at, right?
Yeah.
But I know it's not really an American thing. It's more of a European thing, but I know that they are becoming
Well,
more.
Massachusetts.
I don't know, they have them in
More prevalent.
Glastonbury now.
Massachusetts and
Yeah,
They're doing roundabouts everywhere, slow people down. I'm,
Yeah.
tongue in cheek, I'm laughing about it, guys. All right,
So yeah,
but
comment noted, and
No.
we're still having those discussions with DOT, and happy to share those concerns with them.
Mhm.
If your engineer has comments as well, obviously we can, respond to these and pass these along to the DOT as well.
okay. And I know Tim is chomping at the
Yeah,
bit to get something.
well, I don't know if you know that there is another intersection going to be put that just previous to the intersection now. Okay, with the complex across the street. They're in DOT right now. To put a traffic light there. Okay, there's going to be a long left-hand lane for the turn lane going into the apartments.
This is the apartments, the.
That are being built
hotel,
across the street. Yeah, hotel, apartments, gas station. Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
one.
we were part of that
Yeah,
application.
you were part of that. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that, and now, I was thinking with that second tail, thing, your turning lane might start at that light. Before you get a long turning lane into the development. Right now, you've got a deceleration lane and going into it.
Yeah.
And that deceleration lane, wherever that light is, maybe should go to that where that light is. That way, it'll also stop a lot of traffic that's on Deming Road in Berlin Turnpike. At least slow it down. And between the two developments, it may be a good combination with that second light.
Yeah, and that, I know, as the Chairwoman said, DOT is looking at the bigger picture of all these developments in contrast to each other, and it certainly there may be some
Well,
striping or some signal changes and things like that to sync up with the development that's happening.
if you're
up and
connecting,
down.
if you're connecting with that light, that I think they're almost in the process with the left turn lane into the apartments. Maybe you could jump on that and get your part done faster, because you're right, the state does nothing fast. You know,
Sure.
and it's just a way to, I think, because that Worthington Ridge road that's supposed to go up to Deming Road is no longer existing there. So you could start it back further, the ramp back further. You gotta build it anyway. And you're looking into that anyway, right?
Okay.
So I did want to, can I respond to that?
Oh, yeah,
So
please.
Tim just took my fire.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
No, I appreciate it, actually, that it just gets put on the record, but we did, with engineering work to make sure that there wasn't going to be a conflict with what was that old Worthington Ridge that went just to the west of this property and kind of meandered. It's shown as a gravel road on your plan and swoops into the property. It was found out that Worthington Ridge from this property north was absorbed into the turnpike's right of way. And Worthington Ridge itself ends just to the south of this property. So Worthington Ridge does not come through the property. That old Worthington Ridge, I know when I started working here, you could still drive through. But it was absorbed into the state highway system. So that is no longer an issue. And I was concerned that was gonna
That's been a
be
50
something
year
else that had to
problem.
go through town council and whatnot, and we determined it's not the town engineer.
Mr. Rogan.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is there are very few parcels left like this on the turnpike, and I do consider it to be a very valuable parcel with its location. Definitely got a lot of traffic there, which I'm sure is good for the business, and I'm very happy that this parcel your intent is for commercial. That being said, because I think it's such an important piece of Berlin, I would like a little bit more detail on what's going on with those two industrial buildings?
In terms of architecturally? or-
Architecturally, like what's your intent for them? I mean, I know you got the McDonald's going in.
So the other businesses, the existing warehouses, I think they're kind of at now. We're showing them as a combination of a mixture of warehouse and retail use. I don't think they've been leased up to this degree, but the goal is to obviously rehab them, refresh them to a more modern look. Applicant owner did send Alexa here a picture that more of a real life. I know these renderings can kind of be a little too glossy in terms of real life of another building that they're currently under construction in Plainville.
Is that the architectural for
That's the architectural for the front warehouse building. So
Oh, the
if
front
you wanna stay-
warehouse.
Right, so the,
thought it was
this
the
corner
front.
right here, the facade that is on the left-hand side would be facing the Berlin Turnpike. And the one to the right would be facing north towards the easement along the side of the building.
Okay.
And Alexa, yes, this is a real life photo was taken earlier this evening of another building that's being built by the owner and the applicant. A lot of the same materials would be used for what is shown on that rendering. I don't know if you can zoom in or all, but obviously very clean, modern look, a huge improvement from what's there now. Cultured stone as part of the facade, modern materials, light colored materials. So just wanted to give you a kind of a color palette compared to some of those renderings, gonna look a little shiny in my opinion.
So I guess what I'm getting at is, I see across the street on Orsini's project, he's got those nice strip malls that seem to be doing very well, the business rentals. So what I'm gathering is that's kind of the direction that you're gonna be going in with like multiple.
Yeah, there's the space has been divided up. If you go to our site plan, it's been divided up between combination of warehouse and retail spaces and trying to generate some interest in revitalizing those buildings because they exist already to get some new tenants in there. Then obviously McDonald's is here and we can talk about their architecture, but that'd be a good addition as a pad site to the property, given its prominence in the corner.
Very good.
Okay,
Joe?
all right, yes.
Okay,
Sorry,
the other, when the girl was here, I brought up, just for your knowledge, I brought up that this land has a high water table on it.
It does.
Okay, and with the manufacturing that's been on property now, highly recommend a real environmental study done.
Yeah, so
Uh,
confirm, we did do test pits and confirm
Okay.
the groundwater is
Okay.
between 3 and 7 feet, and it's mentioned in your town engineer's report. The stormwater features that we do show to mitigate the peak flows don't consider infiltration because we're not going to get it because the high groundwater. John Sinise is on the line. We did speak earlier. There has been a phase 1 and a phase 2 study done on the
Okay.
property.
Perfect.
There is some remediation left in terms of some spilled oil product at an old dock lift that was part of one of the buildings that still has to be done, but those environmental studies have been completed and in the process of cleaning up before anything could happen here. John, I don't know, John, John's on. I don't know if he wants to add to that.
Guess not.
Hello, John Sinise, can you hear me?
Yes, John.
Good evening, Commission. Yeah, so before I acquired the property, I had a phase 1, phase 2. We did groundwater monitoring and we identified areas of concern and what was the areas that we needed to remediate. So that work, we just did start it. We didn't finish it because we got busy. It's not significant. So they really didn't manufacture here. They sold equipment. So this company that was here for years basically bought machinery, rewired it, cleaned it up, and sold it in the secondary market. So it was pretty much cleaner than we thought. So when we first initiated interest in buying the parcel. So as far as any remediation work, that'll be done before we even start building renovations. And as far as the building elevations are concerned, we're negotiating we're actually in talks with a couple of tenants for the existing building. Our intent is to re-facade the entire front of the building and the facade along Deming Road, because there's a demolition of the existing building that's gonna occur. I think we're taking down 40 or 60 feet of the front corner of that building. So we would be building a new wall. We want to increase the parapet height to about 28 feet, create a retail look, incorporate, thin stone, mixed siding products, right? So it'll be a combination of maybe brick, stone, PVC clapboard, and that natural look, natural wood look, siding panels. Modern in feeling, because everything's pretty much modern today. Adding glass and storefront features to the entire front and side of the building. As far as the warehouse in the back, the 20,000 square foot building, that's a freestanding industrial building. We have no specific use for it right now. Our long-term plan is we would love to take it down, but we can't take it down unless we have a use for the remaining land that makes financial sense. So right now, that building will be repurposed for a warehouse wholesale operation, unless something else shows up in the meantime where we could, build a new retail building. That's our ultimate goal for the rear of the property heading down Deming Road. But as far as the main building, the industrial building up front, that's a good building. It's a concrete building, bar joist. It needs a full renovation, obviously. So when we're done with it, it will look like a new building. It'll be a total transformation as far as the architectural features and elevation of that building. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
so we
okay.
can hear you. Oh, okay.
Don't mind me. I'm Zoom here.
Oh, all right. No, that's okay. I was taking some notes, so I didn't know if you had, if you had something else. Whoop, buffering.
All set. I have a question.
Okay, are you all set?
Myself?
Yes, for now.
Yeah. Yes, if I'm
Okay.
just answering architectural features for you, the commission, if there's anything else you need as far as, what we're gonna be doing with that property.
Okay. Ms. Jorsey, I think you had a question.
Thank you. I recall many years ago, we considered an application for a restaurant on that corner that my understanding was that the project failed because of there not already being water run to the corner. I think water was the issue.
Stormwater or water service?
Water service.
Water service, okay.
To serve the restaurant. And so I'm curious if that's something that has been, I'm not 100% certain that my recollection is correct.
Sure.
But my recollection is that water had to be run some distance down the turnpike and that there was going to be considerable expense to get it to that site. So I'm curious if that is an impediment.
So there's water supplied to the existing buildings on the property now, and there's water mains along the frontage, so the McDonald's could easily connect, and it's shown on our utility plans as a connection within the right of way on Berlin Turnpike, so
Okay.
it's available.
Okay, so that's good. And then just a comment, my personal opinion, considering the prominence of the corner there, we have spent an awful lot of time with other developers trying to maintain a New England look, pitched roof look, something that is less contemporary than what's proposed. And so I do like the color scheme that is proposed. I'm not a fan of the flat boxy look.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is an existing building, right? So we're trying to really modernize it and improve it. We're actually even shrinking the more prominent one that's coming. As John said, we are chopping off a portion of it to kind of create more land space for improvements like sidewalks and parking and circulation. But
And a
it-
new
it is-
restaurant building.
Restaurant building, but yeah, so the McDonald's and the architects are here for that. If we wanted to switch over to that building, I think that kind of makes sense, Ms. Chairwoman, if you want to, and I can
Yeah.
have Alexa move over to that and
Definitely, but
look at that.
just
Happy to come back up.
Yeah. and you will. One last point, this is a proposal for the existing warehouse building?
Correct. This is an example photo of what the developer has done, is currently doing on another property in Plainville. The rendering you saw before was their proposal. That's part of the packet. And then obviously we have a separate building for McDonald's here that the architects can come speak to about the color palette, materials, architecture, and functionality of this building.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Thank you for now. And who is up next? Ah. Come on down.
My name is Jennifer Hauser. I'm here with Core States. I am the architect for the, oh, can you hear me? Architect for the
yeah.
McDonald's. You can see we have a rendering up
Excuse
here.
me, could you just, as you lean in, just repeat your name for our recording secretary has to do it, and I
Sure.
don't think that would have come through. Thank you.
Jennifer Hauser from Core States. I'm the architect. So we have a rendering here of our proposed McDonald's. It is very modern looking. So I imagine you have some thoughts on that. Currently what we're proposing is fiber cement siding for the most part of the building, and then we have metal panels on the accent walls. And then on the corners, we have aluminum battens that look like wood. And then they have, the entrances are highlighted with canopies. Pretty much it.
What's the size of your building?
It's 3,700 square feet.
Can I be honest? I know you're an architect. I'm not thrilled.
I didn't think you were going to be by your previous comment, so.
Oh,
Not
no,
surprised.
no. No, I mean.
Is the design in line with other McDonald's nationally?
It is.
Is this a franchise requirement, basically, that they conform to certain design requirements?
They have prototypes, and so they want a uniform look across the country, but we do have some jurisdictions that we do modify designs for. And that's something, when it comes up, we work back and forth with McDonald's to come to some kind of an agreement between everybody.
Yeah.
It's safe to say that the McDonald's design 25, 30 years ago is not coming back.
Don't think so.
Please don't give me the burglar guy.
No more
No, and the only reason I said, and I'm not, I understand where you're coming from, and this is not towards you one way or another. It's just that we would like something a little bit with a higher bar, so to speak. And I'm sure that if you went to Cape Cod or Newport, Rhode Island, you'd find a very swanky looking McDonald's. And so we need swankiness. For lack of a better word. I mean, I just need something that's gonna, I'm sorry, this is just not doing it for me, because it's a really important corner.
Hi, my
Hi.
name is Colleen Hazelton. I'm with McDonald's.
Oh, hi, Miss McDonald.
So we do have, a few different style, kind of more New England style building designs that we have had approved in other jurisdictions. We have one that was just approved in Shelton, Connecticut. It's got it's brick. We can't do a full pitched roof because we do need a flat roof to house all of our HVAC units. Otherwise, they have to go on the ground. But there are some modifications that we can make to kind of show a faux slope, but still get our flat roof and have our parapet as well. We can change out the colors as well to make it more, softer New England style. Add some sort of brick wainscot. And then over the entrances, just more predominant, kind of branding.
Yeah, I just like to see sort of a warmness to it, or I don't know, it's
These
very,
renderings don't really do
yeah.
it justice for them, honestly. They look
Yeah.
a lot darker than what it really is. But we do have some options that we can
Oh, goody, I'm looking
Definitely.
forward to seeing them.
come up with.
Yes.
That I have,
Yeah.
and we've been approved in other, in New York and Connecticut and New
I
Hampshire.
don't want nothing New York. No,
Sorry.
no, 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 no.
But they like the New
Yeah,
England
well,
style.
you know what I'm saying, it's just, like I said, I just want it to be something that sort of stands out where people go, wow, look at
Yeah.
that McDonald's, I've never seen one like that before.
Yeah,
And sometimes you can get that
yeah.
wow factor.
We do, I mean, it is McDonald's, so they do like to everything to look somewhat uniform. So, I can make some modifications to the building
Good.
so
So
that it'll look more New England.
Okay,
when
great.
speaking of the mechanicals on the roof, one thing that we definitely like to see is having them screened.
Absolutely.
So when you maybe do that faux slope.
Yep.
If you work in screening them.
So with this building here itself, all of the HVAC is screened. The flat roof sits down lower so that you don't see any of the units on top. And we'll make sure with the new design and with the faux slope that, the height is still the same, so everything is screened.
Great.
Your engineer, with, and with the project that was going across the street.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of work there getting that New England look of those gigantic buildings across the street.
Mhm.
That is pretty much, what we're looking for.
Understood.
Old New England. Even the lighting, the stanchion, lighting stanchions and stuff like that is, maybe the gooseneck lighting.
Yeah, we've done that before as well.
Yeah. Well, she's gonna bring us all that real highfalutin stuff.
But, it's something
Swanky.
that. is
Swanky
so important
stuff.
Corner to us.
Yes.
Where people want to go to
you
that
know,
McDonald's,
that
that's the
it'll
thing.
Be very important. I heard metal and, I don't know the other siding you said here, but, I mean, we've been at a hardy board type thing. They make, stuff that looks like hardy board that they put on this. With the wide molding around the windows.
Mhm.
That brings that over.
Yep.
They're here to commission now, it's, pretty important to us.
Absolutely.
That, and even the building that they're rehabbing, the front of the building, any improvement's gonna be great to that building. But the front of that building, I want to probably go with the whole development going with that piece. Some kind of old New England theme.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it all looks cohesive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Any-
all somewhat together.
Yeah.
Anything else from the commission before we go to the public? Okay, June?
Just a quick question. This may not fall on your lap, but is there grass or growing space next to the building that softens some of those edges? I'm not sure.
Should have a whole landscape plan.
Yeah, Alexa can bring up, there is a landscaping plan. I can just kind of walk you through what's hardscape and what's planting.
Oh, you mean those LED? Oh, no, I gotta get rid of those.
Lighting around the windows and stuff.
No, we're not going there. And I know they're still out there, but we're not going there.
Don't go there.
No. It just cheapens everything. See, I want people to think, I have to go to McDonald's and get some burgers, but I want to go to that nice place on the Berlin Turnpike. You want them to, you just want them to like, you know what the feel I'm looking for. Okay.
Matt Bruton again for the record. So this is the landscape plan. I know it's a little hard to see even on the TV screen, but any of those areas that have that kind of dot hatch, kind of the darker hatch on it that Alexa's pointing to with those are all landscaped areas. So not only is it's curbed and elevated, right, 6-inch curb, but there's variety of, and I don't know if you can zoom in, but variety of trees, shrubs, flower, grasses in all of those spaces. So if you zoom in, yeah, you can see the larger circle areas along the frontage of Deming Road as you kind of come around to the Berlin Turnpike. We got a lot of street trees, a lot of big islands that break up. So there's not a lot of parking expanse. It's not a huge parking lot, right? There's a drive-through that goes around, and even the dumpster towards the rear is screened and enclosed. So there's a lot of landscaping. So I know obviously the existing site is, you know, an old outdated building, broken paving. It's nothing really to brag about.
Yeah.
It's a huge investment and improvement, not only in the building architecture, but also the landscaping, and the street feel of this as well. So you can see your question, Ms. Commissioner, was along the front of the building there. There's a lot of there's a row of parking, but there is a gap between the parking and the facade of the building. There's sidewalk connections, obviously, but also a landscaped area there. And then there's a landscape strip along the frontage. And don't forget, this is just highlighting our property. The state also has a very wide right of way that's landscaped as well. So this may appear close to the road from this plan, but there's actually a lot more room that we can't touch, but it is pushed back pretty significant so that you have a good, nice thoroughfare when you travel down the Berlin Turnpike.
Good. Yes, Andra Miller.
Now that you have that up there, can you just point out where the McDonald's is going to be?
Yeah, so it's where Alexa has the circling right now, that building right there.
That's
is the
a new
McDonald's.
building?
Yes. And then
Okay.
the one, to the lower right, that white square, that's the existing building. And then if Alexa zooms out a little bit, this kind of rectangular one is the existing one to be modified. A portion of that is being taken down though, so that's the portion of the building to remain.
Okay, so McDonald's is really on the corner of Deming and Berlin Turnpike.
Correct.
Yeah.
So when you exit this property,
You're going to Deming.
yes, which way,
So if
right
you're in the
only?
upper right-hand corner,
right?
it's a full access driveway. So you could take a left towards the light towards Deming, or you can take a left towards the light at the Berlin Turnpike, or you could take a right and go down Deming. That's the only way to get in and out on the Berlin Turnpike. We just have an entrance in. You're not going to be able to go directly to the Berlin Turnpike.
Was there a traffic study done on Deming Road? Because that's a bear to take a left out onto. That doesn't concern you, okay?
Okay. All right, this is a public hearing that's open, so is there anyone from the public who wishes to ask any question or comment on this? Oh, I have a taker.
I do have a comment.
Okay.
Their public hearing notice, they may want to put it where it's more visible. Right now, it's in the tall grass. It's hard to see. At least that's when we had this on our agenda last time, I didn't see as I drove by, you have to take a real hard look to see it because it's in the tall grass.
Okay, so
Or Mr. Edge, is it possible we can get a Google Maps view of this, just orient myself a little bit better? Because I understand where we are, but with the flat architectural
Probably
plans,
do
it's
the
harder.
Berlin GIS and then just do an aerial off.
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
fine, yeah.
The easiest way to go,
Okay,
because it'll show the building, building footprints in the aerial.
it'll be a bit more familiar to my eyes. Thank you.
Well,
okay,
Chris Hedge, Town of Berlin Economic Development Director, was getting in touch on a couple things. We had partnered with the towns of Weathersfield, Newington, and Capital Region Council of Governments. We got about a $2.5 million grant to look at the Berlin Turnpike. We had put, I want to say, small amount from the town side on that. And really what it is, it's looking at pedestrian safety, long-term, what's happening with the turnpike. Our hope is when that begins is to really tee up projects for DOT. I think this intersection is probably one that is one of the most important because I think we all know through this commission, 400 to 500 units of apartments are within a half mile. People will find their way to a McDonald's. We know this without a doubt. Having pedestrian signalization at that corner, I think, is vitally important. But I do know that working with DOT and the RAISE grant, we hopefully can make some great things happen to the point even where potentially, again, if I had my magic wand, I'd love to be able to create some sidewalks that might go all the way from Deming down to Woodlawn on the other side. So we actually do have more of a feel instead of just development, that it has some connectivity to it. This corner is very important. I think we all know that. Has been underutilized for a very long time. I myself am excited about the idea of McDonald's because I don't know for certain, but this could be the first brand new McDonald's in a very, very long time. Again, they've done a rehab, they've done other stuff. And I want to say the one in Newington is number 3 or 4 in the nation. So having them come is going to be a major draw. I believe that BL and Matt and the other folks have done a good job on it. I think this can become a great corner, particularly with helping to bring in services, food, otherwise, to augment the apartments, any of the things that are coming in. I know I have seen what Sinise family and Calco have done in other communities. They've done some great projects in Southington, Plainville. And again, it is a 60-plus-year-old industrial building.
Yeah.
But I do know that some of the renditions that we've seen have some great promise, especially too, if we can create the retail feel on the front of that building, I think it'd be great because yes, the McDonald's is wonderful, but we have a large building that we want to see a good thing happen with. I think if we can bring a draw in, it would be tremendous. I definitely am excited about working with family as well as BL, because I know that, yes, there are some inherent issues here, which is really not related to them. It just related to this horrible intersection. As we know, I think it's probably the most accident prone in the entire town at this point.
I think it is.
And that, again, and that may be something that we have the police commission, maybe even our town engineer, Micah Hearn, push DOT, because I know Micah Hearn has been one of the few people who can actually get DOT to be responsive. Again, not tomorrow per se.
Yeah.
It's what, and here's my concern is the timing does need to happen in a way that makes sense here, because if McDonald's shows up, no pedestrian signalization, it's going to be like Frogger. And it's not going to be good, as we know. Again, hopefully they will get it to that point. I know it is in the queue, but I think having DOT part of this discussion is very important for us as well, because it is their intersection, but it's our police officers that have to deal and fire with what happens on that intersection. I think it's important to engage them in the discussion. I know that so far the ideas have been very good. Again, the back of the site kind of to be determined. I know that I'm in discussion with both Brianna and John Sinise. And it's interesting because the other properties of this size, everyone has become retail in front, apartments in the back. Their ideas are different.
Yeah.
They are a family that does commercial development. So I think that in itself, in my mind, is a good thing.
Oh,
Because
I definitely agree
I
with
think we're
you.
going to see a quality development on the new stuff. And I think we're going to see a great improvement on the building, because there's also a great pride in ownership as well from the family side. They've been here for a very long time. I want to say Farmington, I could be mistaken, but they have been here for quite a while. And I know that actually the Sinise family actually had done some work in the past with Tony Valenti, who we know did our downtown project. So I know that there's some great things they do, but definitely supportive of working with this commission and definitely iron out the issues that exist, but definitely to make sure that we push DOT to make this intersection safer before all the investment happens on this corner. And as we had talked about as well previously, the retail, the gas station is up, but if there's a retail and a hotel across the street, that's going to add a lot more heads and cars.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to seeing what other ideas are going to come out of our discussion here as far as the architecturals for the McDonald's. I guess we have to call it that, right? Or for that restaurant drive-through, whatever. So I will wait for those. Any other commissioners before we?
I know that you're keeping the second, is that the one that you're not touching or not really doing anything with? Is that the big tan building that we're looking at?
So the tan building that's square,
Yes,
that one's staying as is in terms of size. The one that's the black and
that's the one that
like,
you're turning into.
that one is shrinking from the top down a little bit. We're removing about 40-ish feet from that facade. And that one's gonna get, that's the rendering that I showed you in terms of the facade update.
Yeah, and I thought that was a major improvement.
Yeah.
The tan building though, I know that's kind of to be determined later. Is there anything that you're gonna be doing to like clean it up a little bit so it's not, I guess,
Nice, or?
an eyesore on the rest of the property as you're doing such a big investment, or?
I'm gonna let John
Yes.
take that, John.
Yes, we are gonna be fixing the panels on that building, putting we do have a wholesale operation looking at it right now. Competitor to Home Depot, but in just in one sector. But they would do a small showroom, and they're pretty much a wholesale operation to service some retail and contractors. So they would redo the facade of the building facing Deming Road, adding new garage doors and pedestrian doors, and painting the building. Obviously, we've been working on the site for the past 4 years, and we kicked around a lot of different use groups for the site. Our preference would be to find another use for the rear of this parcel and eliminate that building. And but we haven't struck that deal yet. So, but the front building, the existing industrial building would be. We're confident that we're going to tenant that up with good retail users and bring that building's facade to complement the Berlin Turnpike at McDonald's Corner. But yeah, in any event, no matter what, they're all getting renovated. The level of renovation for the 20,000 square foot is not going to be as dramatic as the renovation to the existing industrial building. But it'll be complementary to the entire development. So I'm just basically putting it out there straight out, like our goal would be to take that building down and do something totally new on the remaining land. But we need to get the tenant to make it pencil out as far as being economically viable.
Okay.
Um, Oh, by the way, I just wanted to mention I know everybody's talking about the intersections. You know, that signal is currently being redone. And I think all the signals down to Meriden. So DOT is basically changing all those signals, the entire systems. So I think I think the town should probably already know what's going on over there, because Ferguson Electric is commissioned to do all that. They're actually using our site as a staging area, and for doing all that work. So the poles are being removed and replaced, like all the poles in the Newington area. I didn't know if the commission knew that.
Yes, go ahead.
If you don't mind.
Go
So we do know that you've already seen some of the stanchions be replaced, I believe there. I think they've done those. They put in the pads for cross signals as though they're going to do that. I think that's also been completed there, or at least they're working. We saw designs for it. You might remember the tiny gas station across the street, the tiny lot that they came, DOT presented before you because he needed to ask for a variance in order to obtain the property that actually was being used as Deming Road, but belonged to that property owner. So you you saw that as well.
Yeah.
And he described it to you. It was some time ago, so I can imagine, the details of their timing, et cetera. I don't recall either, but it is part of a process coming all the way down the turnpike. You really see it notably up further north, some of the things that have already changed. that is,
Okay.
that is accurate.
All right. Okay. June, did you have a quick question? Okay.
Yeah, it's not really a question, so you guys are off the hook, but I see a lot of really great opportunity here with that back space because you've got a variety of customers nearby with Home Depot and Kohl's and now McDonald's, and your outside work with the green space looks really lovely. So outside walking, retail, maybe other food shops would be just an adorable thing to draw people into Berlin, which is what we're constantly looking for. Is it's all in Berlin, right, Chris?
Yeah.
So thank you for your work.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, Maureen, you wanted one other thing
I have just a couple of things that I think
before we continue? Okay.
to be addressed. So I do want to remind the commission that one of the things they're asking for is a reduction in the front yard setback for the parking areas. And I think, I'm not sure, I heard them um, provide the substance and the reasoning for that for you to consider. So I think that is something that's important to have on the record as to the purpose, and so that you can make a good vote. I also think that given that they've do own a considerable amount of property, to go off Commissioner Millard's comments, that I think at least addressing why the driveway is where it is as opposed to further to the east, and having a response to that question is important as well, so that it shows that there was forethought on that matter from both sides. And I think for now, that's it. I did take Mike's comments while we were going through this, and he also confirmed the Oster review as well as which is the state and DOT's review. So that's, is for the state to possibly come back, modify some things. But that's part of the development proposal. His comments were, with regard to there was a question about the sanitary sewer comments, I think, from Commissioner Zigmont, and his comments reads, we recommend, in part it reads, we recommend that the engineering team revise their design to increase the sanitary sewer pipe slopes. Again, that can certainly be done in design, and it's not something, or is something that Mike would oversee. The proposed retaining walls over 4 feet height must be designed and certified by a licensed engineer. A pretty typical comment, but I just did want to point out the couple of things that were brought up. The report concludes that the post-development stormwater flow after detention via the 4 underground systems and 5 hydrodynamic separators will not exceed pre-development flows for all design storms analyzed. So he's noting that that's what their reports are indicating. As far as the shallow groundwater that was also brought up, he's asking that it be the detention system be lined with non-pervious material, and for engineering's review, of course, and detail of the hydrodynamic separators. So I think those are all things that are very much design oriented for technical design for the engineer during permitting. If that's, if the commission's agreeable to that.
Okay.
But we did distribute those comments.
All right.
You guys have given us a lot to think about, and
Yep.
I think we're gonna take your comments to heart and come back and we look forward to the discussion.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And so with that, I entertain a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue to the meeting of October 17th.
Okay. Motion to continue by Ms. Jorsey. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Zigma.
She asked.
Further discussion? Then all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, so moved.
Who seconded, Brian?
Tim. Tim had the second. All right, so under deliberations, we have the same item. So we need a motion to continue this as well.
No, we've continued it.
No,
No action, it's still open.
no action, yep. Okay, so we're not deliberating. Okay,
I
so
have,
that's that. Yes. Yeah, no, down we're on to planners comments.
we actually have something that we're asked, kind of
Oh, yes. Is that for the cow?
had
Yes.
the agenda, and I'm sorry I missed it during commission business. But that is the farmer's cow wants to have a special event. And you were handed out that material. I actually can only find a portion of mine.
Okay, can we have,
Me,
do we need a motion to add this to the agenda?
I think you should.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Rogan, second by Ms. Jorsey. Further discussion on this? All those in favor? Aye. Okay, let's talk about this. Okay. This is a Farmer Cow's grand opening celebration and a ribbon cutting.
Yes, so I don't know
Please,
if
Rich.
anybody remembers the movie Bull Durham, but the pitcher at one point was throwing fastballs and basically said he wanted to announce his presence with authority. That's kind of what they're looking to do here. So instead of just a ribbon cutting, they want to make it a celebration. So I believe you guys have a copy of a map that it's conceptually what they're looking at. They're looking to have a tent which people could sit underneath and have ice cream. They already are looking to get maybe a couple of historic tractors in. We've already reached out to both the fire department and police department, almost like a touch a truck. The other thing would be having some local vendors there. So for instance, Dragonfly Design, maybe some of the other small retail stores we have that would just be there to show what they're doing.
Mhm.
The good news is everything they're looking to do where people would be involved would be completely away from the building itself. So back towards the garage building. And really looking to do, again, a number of things. And one of the big things they want to do is the educational piece, which is to essentially remind people where food comes from. I mean, we all know that that is deeply embedded with bricks in our history.
Mhm.
And I think people have lost that. And that's part of what they want to do as well, is to have kids there, educate them, and really to make a bigger deal than just a ribbon cutting, but to celebrate them being there, being open, and that they do truly want to be part of the community. So this is just kind of a quick overview, more of just kind of giving you an update on it, on this is what they'd like to do.
Mhm.
And apologize for the short notice, but this has come up very quickly.
Yeah, it's the 19th.
Yes, exactly. So I've been trying to work with them to make sure that we have something that is presentable to you that you can understand. Because I didn't want it to be all, well, we're thinking about this, we're thinking about that. This is what they're looking to do.
How long will the event, I know it starts at 11, is being.
11 to 2. So
Okay.
it's going to be just a 3-hour event. It's not going to be an
Oh.
all-day thing.
Oh, okay, so it's not an all-day thing. It's just gonna be just in time for lunch.
No, I sat down with them and we kind of discussed this and decided that anything more than 3 hours is just going to be too much. And I
No
think that gives
fireworks?
people time.
No,
Yeah,
no,
I don't think.
no, but they have ice cream or ice cream floats, right? Or something.
yeah, I was
I
gonna say,
think they have ice cream.
I don't know exactly what they're doing, but I think it'll be nice to be able, because I still think some people are not sure whether or not they're open or when they're
I
open.
don't think they wanted that
I
many
think that's
people.
partially, how to put this nicely, they did a great job. They got an article in the Current, they got something on Channel 8. But I don't think it's getting down to people that actually live in Berlin.
They need to get it out on Berlin Talks
Yeah,
or,
And that's exactly
Yeah.
what my intent is to do that and let everybody know about this. But again, tonight was the big step to,
Well, tell them it all starts at 12 so that the rest of us can have a parking space.
I think lighting outside that is brighter to signify they're open versus it has a dark appearance on the outside. As we drive past it, it's hard to tell that there's lights on or lights on the building on the exterior. I think that would make a huge difference.
I think you need to tell the employees to park out in front, so they look like they're open and busy.
There's usually just one car.
Yeah, I know there's usually just one car, but you might want to tell them, just for now until you guys pick it up.
The dark exterior windows.
I heard the soup and sandwich is really
any
good.
lighting Inside is.
yeah, it is a challenge with the sun that comes in. And actually I had a chicken bacon ranch sandwich the other day that was absolutely heavenly.
People have a bunch of trucks or tractors.
Yep.
I would recommend
No, I just,
They're two brothers, Dave,
Yeah, you could give rides around the Veterans Park.
A train ride.
Well, you could do a train ride, but a tractor hay field kind of a thing.
They have not even reached out to, I mean, this literally in the last 24 hours, this went from concept to me putting it on paper with a map for you guys.
Can we get a couple cows in there?
I
Miss Millard like a couple cows.
and I'm trying to get them to basically have some of the actual families here because I think it'd be
He's writing it down.
kind of cool.
It's all on
They could
you.
have
I did, I wrote down cows.
they could
I
have a
know, well, that's,
contest, pictures with families with like straight straw bales and pumpkin and
no,
people
I'm
can
saying
vote
you
on
should get your
pictures and
carts
they
down
can have
there
a
and give.
winner.
It's interesting
Right.
because in addition to the vendors, I'm also reaching out to Matson Farm about their meats and then to Cold Spring because they do a lot of Halloween and fall type stuff. So I'd love to be able to see if they could even assist with that. Because it'd be nice to again have the local vendors.
Jerry, granddaughter, he'll take care of that. They're going down there.
Yep.
His not historical society. Glad to be. Great thing.
Yes.
I'd
Oh,
like to
please.
make a quick comment.
Yeah,
So the two comments, the first comment is, you'll see we had them fill out the special event application. It does include going to, around to the different departments and make sure there's no problem so that they're all coordinated. So that is something that, you can see that due diligence will be handled by internally administratively. Also, one of the features that they anecdotally, one of the things they have is inside, they've put up pictures of the neighborhood, the local farms in Berlin. They have those in their dining room now. They feature their farms with big pictures up in the front of the store closer to where you order. But then in the seating area, they have a lot of pictures of local pictures. So that's something that everybody might be interested in.
all right.
Just wanted to share that.
The Berlin police will be taking care of the traffic and everything.
No, it'll be routed to them to be aware and know. Yeah.
Yeah.
For this form.
So in case kids get rowdy.
Everybody's gonna park down at Veterans or Stop and Shop.
Yeah. Well,
And-
Yeah.
And you know what? The police makes that determination when they hear about an event, they then evaluate it and go, yeah, maybe.
what
not.
happened to you?
Maybe you do need.
Flipped my lid.
So again, I think this will probably be a fairly smooth event. They do have other.
So do we have a wonderful motion?
You do. I'll make that motion to approve it.
Yes, and I got a second by Miss Millard. So we have further discussion on the cow thing? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed, so moved. So there, move. Yeah, or somebody in a cow costume. That's cute. Why don't you bring that dinosaur costume out? That'd be kind of funny.
Tell Guy that Mel could bring their cow. in.
All righty, yeah, it is Halloween.
Oh.
Okay, is there,
Want guidance?
is there anything else? Because I know you're not, we're trying to get you out so you go home.
I was gonna say,
That's the
I
competitor.
think I'm as excited as the commission is that it is not quite yet 9:30, but there are just a couple of things.
Yes, good night.
I wanted to mention, and maybe Chris already left or not, but the first of the benches
back.
that I mentioned last week went in today on Main Street.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
I told you there were benches.
where's it?
One went on, and that's actually on Main Street.
Where
right
is it?
in front Of the eye doctor?
By Richard?
No, on Main Street.
Where Dr. Fitzsimmons used to be.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, is that by the Dairy Queen Main Street, that little one by the Webster? By the Busy Bean? Oh, how neat.
Busy Bean, and then the idea is going to be, we want to make it into an arts, culture and history walk from McClatchy Park down to Veterans Park.
Okay,
Benches, I've already. cut
Mentioned
the
that last
drawings
week.
of
yes,
How it all frames out, we're not sure, but the
Yeah.
idea in my brain is starting to come together, so.
yeah. It's too bad we couldn't do something with those light fixtures on that little Main Street. As far as hanging baskets or something, I don't know.
Yeah, what about?
Made them so that they
How that goes
could
with hanging flowers. You
facilitate,
got nice lights
um,
now with no flowers.
Everyone,
All right, good night.
of decorative flags or, announcements. I think they might have even used it for
Yeah.
the historical anniversary. I think they used it.
Yeah,
That happened 2 years ago. Did they put up flags for Veterans Day or?
I think they did.
Not sure of, but I think there is, that's
Yeah.
why they were bought the way they were bought, so that things could hang when they, at the appropriate times for the appropriate reasons.
Yeah.
Again, I emphasize that.
Mm.
Because hanging things are an issue. Let's see, just reminding everybody that 2-year commissioner training, and I will, regularly, a lot of them have been online, a lot of them have been, most of you have your requirements for these 2 years. We do have the meeting, the all-day seminar that'll come up next March again, that will do the next 2 years for the most part. I think
Okay,
that thing does the whole
I think
your
that,
whole requirement. However, there have been things that others of you have been interested in and you participated. So I just keep forwarding those to you. Don't feel you have to take all of them, but
Are you keeping track of?
so that was the next thing, was anyone who hasn't emailed into us what they've done or anything. I'm trying. My records aren't great either. It's usually what.
well, how about good attendance at the planning and zoning commission meetings?
All day, 8 hours,
But-
had a record. of that.
Yeah,
we
that
have-
8-hour debacle
But not all of you.
on land use.
Go to that.
did that one.
I did.
Yeah, on the computer on a Saturday.
Again, that's the 2-year cycle.
That was the 9 to 5.
Expired.
Well,
So, if any of you know of training you've taken or when you take it, if you can email me and Ashley. We have an administrator now, we're gonna have a better record. Ready to keep that
So
record.
I remember emailing it to you, Maureen, last year. I can forward that email again, just so.
I'm sure I can find it.
Okay,
and
if
I
you
may
can't,
have,
just let
if
me
we
know.
didn't already put it on a list.
Okay.
It started a list, we don't have the same employees, so I'm sure.
Thank you.
It's easily, but I just saw it. And that there are some recent changes to legislation that went into effect that
Oh, no.
mainly goes affects nonconformities, which is something we handle for the most part internally. But we're working through how that applies to what we do and what you're gonna see versus what you don't see, and non-conforming regulations. We'll make sure that we'll work through that. The whole planner community is trying to evaluate how to deal with
Will be
that.
eliminated.
Deal with the state.
We already discussed next meeting, don't forget next Wednesday, 6 o'clock special meeting. I believe that will be in the engineering offices. Be in that.
That's on the 9th.
On the 9th.
Okay, thank you.
o'clock. And I book. That may be in Doc Mac. Now that I think about it, it's the POCD that's gonna have to be in engineering's offices. Be aware, I just want everybody aware that, we've settled little houses. You went through that site plan, it all got filed. All his documents have been filed. He's now gotten his permits. Or is in the process of getting permits, building department satisfied with everything. So is allowed to work there. That's not a problem. We did get a certified, I'm gonna say it wrong. The arborist reports with the correct credentials. And Paulie went out and with Mr. Snow, looked at what was being protected, how it was being done, and talked to him about, safeguards and monitoring. So that's being watched carefully. Also be aware that Beckley Farms is working on getting their permits for their phase 5. So those townhouses activity will start too, so you might hear about that as well.
Are any of those affordable?
That was approved well before that.
That was,
Yeah.
It's the first approval was in 2003 or 2005. They did get reapproved, but not with, I don't believe there was any addition of affordability in there. We also got another inquiry for presumably an adult housing project adjacent to the Orchard Ridge. That's up on Webster Street, up behind Eversource. You access it from
Yeah.
Rocky Hill.
yeah.
And that will likely take, if they decide to pursue it, some zone change. Probably a zone change. They'll probably change the zone of the property as opposed to changing the rules of the zone, of zoning in the OT zone. And, so if the commission wants to, just, each think about that a little bit, and it's whether you have feedback before they go too far down that line. I don't have much more information on that right now, but that's, an inquiry, and I.
Didn't she come in before us? Before, the woman who owned that property looking to do affordable housing?
Did he say that?
What's the name of the street? Is that Kobe or something?
I have talked to them at the counter. I'm not sure.
Was
who's
that
been-
Kobe?
Yeah.
For some
Yeah,
reason I
that's his
remember
name.
there was like,
Yeah.
I do believe Kobe is his name.
Yeah.
okay, there was a woman who was here years ago and she wanted to develop that parcel. And she says she wanted it to be all affordable or senior housing or something.
Yeah.
So do you think there's any record for me to look back on?
They
Yeah.
came here.
They came,
They came.
they-
Commission, so,
and they-
okay.
Know them afar, but they came here.
yeah, they didn't really,
Colby Road.
If you enter in Rocky Hill, so part of that property is in Rocky Hill, are we working in conjunction with their commission?
We're gonna have to work that out. I don't believe any of the development of the site itself will be in Rocky Hill. It's a small triangle
Okay.
of the property that's in Rocky Hill. I think he indicated that they wouldn't be
If you're,
doing any improvements in Rocky Hill, but the driveway would come out on a Rocky Hill road. So,
if there, you're looking at where Orchard Bridge has emergency entrance from Colby Road. Okay, that's never been put in, but right beside that is another
yeah, there's a
driveway
length
that
of,
goes to the. to
there's a
that.
length that comes
Yeah.
around through there. I mean, I'm supposed to be getting a concept plan. I thought I was gonna have it, so that's actually why I put it on here, because I thought I was gonna have something, but I don't have that to share yet.
okay.
Good.
I think that's it. I'm just trying to put everything.
How's this guy that's got this Berlin, I don't know, tell him about Berlin developments before we know online. We got a Chipotle's, whatever is coming in town.
What?
So you scheduled that. That was actually originally scheduled for tonight.
Okay,
And because of a, notice with the applicant, we've moved that to
Okay.
the 17th.
no, this guy gets stuff before.
Okay, you know what?
Anyone knows.
Why don't we
Schedule that, that's
adjourn the
best.
meeting? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
do.
Okay, and
Didn't
do
you
we-
hear me? And
at 9:35, we have a motion by Ms. Jorsy, a second by Ms. Miller. Further discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed, so moved. Okay. Good night, and thank you, Steve.
Good
Online.
night.
Good night. Okay.